So you join us here today at the fantastic Stoke Bardolph for RiverFest 2022, and I'm here with Dave Harrell, founder of RiverFest. 10 years ago now, isn't it, Dave? What do you think of today then?
Well, first of all, I can't believe that we're 10 years in.
Unbelievable.
It just seems like 2 or 3 years ago I started talking about the idea to the guys at your place, and 10 years on, here we are.
Here we are. Bigger and better than ever before,
yeah.
eh? There's two of them, isn't there? Righty, ladies and gents.
We've had some great years, haven't we? I mean, we had 6 good years on the Y, 2 years at Shrewsbury, and this is the 3rd time at Burton Joyce. Great matching prospect, it really is.
Fantastic, isn't it? The stretch looks in fine condition, doesn't it? It's been fishing really well up to this.
Well, it's low. I mean, like all rivers around the country, it's low, it's clear, but the weights have been holding up. You know, I mean, we had a final practice open last week, 2 70-pound weights, and lots of good, 30s and 20s. So I'm expecting a good match today.
Some great backups, yeah. So who do we fancy today then? There's a few that I've sort of had my eyes on, but who do you fancy in terms of?
Well, at the moment, I've got 3 people in mind on day one that I think are going to do well. We've got Jordan Holloway on the famous outflow
literally
peg.
Just over our shoulders, isn't it?
Yeah. He's actually been practicing on there about 2 weeks ago. He caught loads of fish. Lower down, we've got a good friend of mine, Toby Bunting, who's drawn the peg that Lee Wright had 70-pound off last week.
Yeah, them 2 bream weights side by side, weren't they?
2 70s, and I really fancy him. I mean, Toby's been fishing great. He's catching loads of roach as well. So, I mean, he's got bream, and he's going to feed a roach line. Yeah. And then we've got Lee Edwards, who's drawn that famous barbel peg.
Yes,
in the
Welsh
bottom
international, of course, knows what he's doing.
He's good at barbel, he does it on the wire a lot and stuff like that. So, if I had to pick 3 out, they would be the 3.
So I'm Jordan Holloway, and it's day 1 of RiverFest, and we have drawn peg 23 at Burton Joyce, which is on the outfall. The peg I'm on should be a really good peg. It normally holds some roach, dace, perch, normally a bit of everything, to be honest, but hopefully I'm going to catch some dace and roach to start with, and then fish hemp later in the day and hopefully catch some roach. I'm going to be mainly pole fishing, hopefully short, and then fish further out with hemp. So the venue for this final is really good, to be fair. Big fish can throw up anywhere, so anyone's not out of it on any day, so it should be really good.
Today you're going to see dace feeder, bream feeder, barbel feeder, long pole, short pole, waggler, stick float, bollo. I don't know how many methods that is.
Yeah, like 10 or 15 odd methods.
For anybody that wants to see everything in action, this is the place.
Yeah, this is it. It's pretty much a festival river fishing, isn't it? You can literally fish for almost any species here and build that weight. I mean, even if you've only got 15, 20 pound day one, which would be an okay weight, wouldn't it? That'd be middle of the board, I'd say. You've still got a decent chance of moving into day 2, haven't you? Because you might draw one of them barbel pegs, one of them bream pegs, and
I think your target really, if you can come out of day 1 with 20 pounds, you're in the hunt for a good prize, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
And the rest of it, we haven't got a clue, and that's the beauty of the place.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And it keeps throwing up new winners as well. That's it. We haven't had a repeat winner yet, have we? And we haven't really had a massive, standout, huge coffee table name winner yet either, which, again, we've got 10 internationals this weekend that I've counted that are on this, and you never know. Two reasonable draws for one of them, and you've got to fancy them as well, haven't you?
6 previous winners.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? Some lineup. The other thing we've got to do is thank Ashfield for the stretch. It's a fantastic bit here, isn't it? Both sides.
Yeah. We've had a great relationship with the Ashfield Angling Club since we came here. They've been a great help in everything that we've done. Good stewarding again today, and big thanks to them from me, because we've found the best venue we've used.
I think so. In terms of access, in terms of fishing, it's perfect, isn't it? We've got the pub just over the back of the cameras here as well for the draw and the presentations. It all ties in lovely. And then the final thanks is obviously to Hayley at Bait Tech. She's always sponsored the competition, I think, from day dot, hasn't she? Huge thanks to basically everyone involved behind the scenes. All the work that you put in, Mr. H, all the qualifiers that you organise. It doesn't go amiss, so a huge thanks.
We're 25 this year.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fair little bit of workload for you, isn't it? So, no, massive thanks from the Trust, and long may it continue, and fingers crossed we have 2 fantastic days. So you join me here at the halfway stage, RiverFest Day 1. We're up in the Nelson field actually. It's turned into a bit of a battle of two halves. We've got Lee Edwards down here and he's catching really well. He's had a barbel just in front of us now and that's his 9th actually. He's got a few chub as well to back it up. So he must be looking at sort of 35, 40 pound already there. And then on the other side in A section, we've got Toby just below the big wires, just down from the pub on the roadside, and he's now had 9 bream as well. So he must be knocking on the door of 40 pounds as well. So between them two, they're certainly our front runners. There's other fish being caught here and there. Tom Scully up in A section's catching a few. He's had a couple of barbel and some chub, and some other anglers are sort of putting in some reasonable weights of silvers. But really looking at it now, you know, you've got to catch some bonus fish. So I imagine moving into the second half of the match, we're going to see more feeder fishing, maybe even some guys looking on a big pellet, just gambling for them barbel, maybe some bream later in the day. But yeah, we'll see how it pans out.
I just went for barbel and set up a flat float short, and that was it. But I started short, a couple of perch, wasn't very good to be honest. No. And then I went on the feeder. I had 2 chub, 2 chucks.
Nice start.
It is, and then I started having the odd barbel. Then lost a couple, trying to find out where all the snags were and this and that. And basically, it was like hook and hold. It was pretty intense stuff, I'll be honest. Pretty much every time I had a fish, I put a new hook length on because it was just getting all
Frayed,
you know, you could still probably use it, but it's just not worth it, is it? So no, I've gone through a load of gear. Only through changing it, because the bottom out here is so rocky, and you know, the further I went down my swim, I just couldn't even fish it then.
And what have you done bait wise? What have you had?
I've gone for casters, Empen casters. Just it's clear and this and that, and I just felt my way into it really, and I did that for like 3.5 hours, and then I had the last couple then on meat, but you know, they had enough by then. So I just topping up basically.
I mean, let's put it this way: you've had 88 odd pounds. I can't remember the outs off the top of my head, but if that's not the leader, we're doing this literally as the other weigh-ins are going on. If that's not the leader, I'll be very surprised. You might be maybe 20 pound ahead is what I'm going to say. Day one, maybe might only be 15. Where do you fancy going in A section tomorrow? Obviously, you probably have the wires one, but that's assume you can't get two of the best pegs on the river.
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't really know it that well, you know. No. I've heard Cameron Hughes have had 20 odd pound on the roadside, which is a great weight from there. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't mind doing that. Obviously, you're going to want it easy, and you just want to put a rod in here, and it just gets yanked in. But if I draw that peg tomorrow, the boys will be kicking right off.
Of course they will.
Well, because it's paper pegged, I didn't exactly know where I was until I spoke to a couple of people, and yeah, it was the peg that many people wanted to be on, including me. Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to draw it this morning. Well, because of the conditions, I really didn't know how it would fish. Obviously, the quarter load weekend before, it's bright sunshine, didn't really know, so I've set a raft of gear up to cover all scenarios, and I've just caught on the feeder out there long. I had 11 big bream in the first 2 hours, and then I've only had like 2 bream in the last 3 hours, so it kind of like petered off, but can't complain.
First day of the RiverFest 2022 final. It's been a couple of big weights to talk about really. First one, Lee Edwards up on 52 at Nelson's Field. He's had a load of barbel, frankly. I've had weigh him in. He's had 14 barbel pre-chub, all on the feeder. All on caster actually, which is a little bit out there, a little bit different. The other angler is Toby Bunting. He's been in the middle of the roadside, just below the wires, and he's had an absolute shed load of bream. He's had 13 bream on the tip, fishing sort of all the way across, sort of 3/4 on worm and corn and ground bait feeder. So yeah, he's had 69 pounds. So 88 there, 69 there. And then there's been sort of a smatter in the 20s really. Top of the racks fished quite nicely. It's been the odd weight in Nelson's Field. And then roadside, top of the roadside, there's been quite a few roach up that top bit towards the Nelson's Field. And then the odd peg up on the Ferry Field. Tom Scully's had a few chub and barbel on a maggot feeder and bits and pieces like that, odd fish there. So yeah, it's been a great first day. It's going to be really interesting to see how them pegs fish on day 2, both Toby's and Lee's. And you never know, you know, fish have got fins. They might even swim around a bit, and we might see a few weights thrown up off pegs that have done poorly today. So yeah, looking forward to tomorrow, and we'll see what it brings.
So we're here, start of day 2. Day 1 was a fantastic day, some huge weights.
Amazing day, yeah.
In its 10th year, RiverFest has come an awful long way. So tell us a little bit about plans for the future and what can we expect to see?
Next year, we're going bigger again. So we've got another 2 qualifiers for next year, which will be fantastic. And yeah, the slight other change as well is we're going to put a couple of midweek qualifiers on. We've had quite a few anglers come to us and ask for stuff in the week as well, because not, you know, some people work weekends and not everybody's got a Saturday or a Sunday off. So yeah, a couple of weekday qualifiers and an even bigger and better final.
That's fantastic. I mean, speaking to the anglers, there's a real buzz around these natural venue competitions, and RiverFest has cemented itself as the pinnacle of those events. You must take great pride in the development of this competition and also of the popularity of this event.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's one of those events that when we put it up on sale, sells out really quickly. It really does feel like there's some real momentum coming now behind sort of that natural style, and also almost that progression towards the England teams as well. There's a load of internationals here this weekend. We've got 10 on for this weekend.
The England manager for the nations teams wandering around behind us.
Yeah, exactly. He's down here seeing how people are getting on. We've got Matt Godfrey coming down later as well, haven't we? He's obviously shining on the international stage. So yeah, it really is good to sort of get those guys leading the way forward and making sure that they're fishing our events like this and dragging that calibre of angler forward and just it's making it a real quality event, to be honest.
You touched on ticketing. I know this is one of the hottest tickets in town. I know you've worked incredibly hard with the team to make sure that every angler who wants to get a ticket can do with the phasing. Is that something that's staying again for next year?
Yeah, it'll be the same process again for next year. So you've got phase 1 where you can buy 1 ticket, and then 2 weeks later we open it up so it goes to I think you could say a free-for-all, but as many as you can obviously click through and buy. Yeah, we certainly like that system. It guarantees people tickets in that first stage, so you can pick your favourite qualifier, whether it's your local one or just the venue you like. So yeah, we're sticking to that. That's worked well. It's stayed the test of time, and we'll keep it going.
And I've seen lots of comments this morning about how strong the coverage has been this year. And is that something we can expect to develop? Will we see you in your sunglasses on screens?
It's always the ambition, isn't it, to show those anglers that don't make the final what it's like. You know, there's plenty of us, just like myself, who go out there, fish qualifiers, don't necessarily make the final, and it's a great atmosphere these days. You know, there's lots of guys all, you know, fishing their heart out, and we pay so deep as well. We pay 15 places and all the sections across the days as well by default. So there's a lot of people walking away with money here today. And yeah, if you are your average Joe like me who can dream of getting to this final one day, there's something for you to fish for. It's not all about necessarily, you know, your standout international anglers. The whole ream of people are in contention today, and you know, plenty of prizes to pick up as well.
Well, look, on behalf of the Angling Trust, myself personally, and the anglers here, thank you for the work that you put in. As I say, yourself and Dave are real driving forces behind it, and long may it continue.
Hi, I'm Cam Hughes. You join me today on the second day of RiverFest Final at Burton Joyce. My peg yesterday, I weren't overly pleased with it at the start, but last week's match I found out there's a load of fish there. Drew one off the end at the bottom of the road. Had a great day really, can't complain, everything went right. Caught 28-14, mostly roach, some big dace, not many dace but big ones, and a lot of perch as well. Had a real good run. It was about an hour, in the next 40 minutes probably had 8 pound a little perch. It was really good. I've drawn okay, again, 73 peg. There was double figures off it yesterday, 12 pound. The pegs below 75, 76, 77, that's where I wanted really for the fishing I want to do, ball it in, catch some roach. They had 20 pounds, so not too far away, but we'll see. Hopefully get a few bites.
My name's Tom Noten, and today I have drawn peg 24. I'm looking to probably fish the pole, short pole, shallow for dace maybe some perch fishing, and then I'm hoping to catch on hemp. I think hemp will be the bait to catch on. Could potentially be some feeder fishing if it's a bit more difficult for dace. So plenty of options. It's an options peg, which is good.
My name's Alan Donnelly, and I'm peg 51. I was the bridesmaid yesterday. I was next to the peg that threw up the big bream weight, and well, I didn't think lightning could strike twice, but I've done it again today. So I'm one off where Lee Edwards was yesterday. Had a big weight of barbel. The fish were very tight, though yesterday. They were all in Lee's peg, and they were all in that bream peg. So I'm just hoping this bit of weather we've had, the cloud cover, and the food that's gone in just makes them spread out a bit. So fingers crossed.
Today's peg is peg 3 on the day. It's up the top, just below the weir. I don't know much about it. It looks more like a dace day really on the pole, and maybe dace feeder, and you know, getting a couple of bits and bats and try to get into double figures really, and that's about it.
My name's Kai Jerem. I fish for Browning Hot Rods. I'm peg A2 on day 2, which is about 100 yards below Stoke Bardolph Weir. Good area. Hopefully I can catch 15 pound. I was lucky enough to draw A1 last year, so I learned a lot from that day. So rather than just fishing a stick out and out, I'm going to fish the pole, the stick, and then I'm going to drop back on a dace feeder if I can at about 20 metres. So mainly catching dace, which are a hair pulling species, but yeah, hopefully we'll catch some.
So you join us here at the top of the rack behind me here on the day 2 midway update. It's building into quite the match actually. So we've got Lee Edwards and Toby Bunting, who are obviously your overnight leaders. Out of the 2 of them, I would say Lee's probably drawn the better peg. We started with him this morning. He's putting in plenty of dace, the odd roach, so he's ticking over quite nicely, and certainly a little bit better than Toby. Toby's catching the odd fish, but not quite at the same pace. The key players who've drawn their pegs from yesterday, Douglas Jackson has drawn on the bream peg, and unfortunately at the minute hasn't picked one up as of yet. Struggling a little bit up there. Fingers crossed he'll be able to find a few. And then moving on to Lee's peg, we've got Chris Hallows on B52 in the middle of the Nelson field. He's had 2 barbel at the minute, so he's beginning to catch a few, 1 7-pounder, and fingers crossed they start picking up. It is all to play for in terms of that middle pack, your 3rd through 10th. We've got Cam Hughes and Sean Ashby up at the top of the rack here, both catching fish really steadily. So I think the story is going to be about that sort of 3rd to 10th positioning today. I think the top 2 are pretty set in stone, but we'll see. You never know. Somebody somewhere might find a shoulder bream or a load of barbel that are keen for a bit of a grub around and put it right back. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for a close finish, and we'll see how it progresses.
So we're here at the end of day 2 of the Angling Trust RiverFest Final 2022, and I'm joined by Cam Hughes. So Cam, hot off the heels of your amazing performance at the World Championships for the Nations, you've come and joined us here on the Trent.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit how the last 2 days have panned out.
Obviously, like I say, it was a bit of a rush coming back. Got back late Tuesday night, but I've got a lot of gear, so I got it all sorted before I went really. First day, bottom of the road, like I said earlier, not a peg I would have chose first day. I wanted round here, obviously, because it's where I drew last year. Last 2 years I've drawn up there, and it's been good to me. Luckily, there was a load of fish down there. I had a great day.
So going into day 2, and you've drawn down at the bottom end of the rack.
Ideally, I wanted 75 onwards, but I couldn't moan because there's a lot worse pegs in the pack. So 73 was as good as it was going to get for me, really. Anything with the 7 in front of it was a bonus, I thought, last night. So got every chance. A real slow start. Fed far too much bait at the start. Fed the same as yesterday. 10 big balls full of bait, load of maggots and casters and emp. And there was a million fish in my peg, just couldn't catch one. Missed so many bites. Ridiculous how many bites I fished. And after 2 hours, it was like, I'm going nowhere. And then peg settled down, just full of great big roach. Same again. Booze feeding heavy with casters, catching great big roach on the bottom. You know, say great big, 4 to 10 ounce.
A lovely fish though. I sat and watched you for a bit, and
yeah,
it's a lovely stamp of fish that you were catching.
Yeah.
And all on the pole again on
all on the pole, yeah.
Gram and a half?
Gram and a half rig was best today, yeah. Tried them light on, but it's been that windy. I've had to fish a bit shorter than I wanted to, 11 metres instead of 13, but hold it between your legs most of the time just to try and control your float, but no, can't complain. I've had 54 pound in 2 days.
Well, and so and so you weighed in 25?
25.2, sorry, today, yeah, so that makes it 54 days.
54 pound over 2 days, and not from massively favoured draws. Cam, I think it shows the quality you bring to this competition.
Well, I think they follow me around on this venue. It certainly likes me. Yeah, no, I do like this bit of river. It will kick me back down one day, I'm sure, but you know, I've had a lot of 20 pounds here. It's a great venue really for a final.
Chris, talk to me about your match. 2 very different days. Tell me about day 1. Where did you draw?
Day 1, I've drew 19 in the ferry field. I didn't know much about it. Some people said roach, so I pretty much set my stall out for roach, to be honest.
On the pole?
On the pole. I fished 13 metres and I've really struggled. In odd spells, when the wind's dropped, I've managed to catch roach. And then I'd say after about 3.5 hours, the wind's died enough I could fish the emp, and I've started catching some nice roach on the emp then. But they were because I think it's because of the clear water, they're a bit on and off. But when you did catch them, they're a proper roach. But yeah, I ended up with £10.15 yesterday.
So a solid start.
Yeah.
And then you arrived at the draw this morning. Where were you hoping to draw?
Peg I drew, B52. To be fair, I've been dreaming about it for weeks, that peg. I just had a feeling I was going to draw it. I don't know why, I just had a feeling. And I normally go sort of start at the first of the draw, but I thought today I'd leave it a little bit late. And I drew it, so yeah.
So you were seeing the guys come past, no one had mentioned it?
Yeah, I looked on the board and I seen it was not there, and I thought, oh no.
It's that finger point that said it could be you.
Yeah, I thought, he's had a good weight for yesterday, big weight. The fish are going to be spooked as it is. There's a lot of fish have been put back. It's clear as well. It was a bit brighter today as well. So I thought I might catch a few at the start and then it's going to get hard. At the second chuck in, I've had a chub, which came off unfortunately. And then I've had another barbel, and then it's been very quiet. And then it seemed like every time the sort of cloud came over and a bit of ripple, I was hooking barbel. And that's pretty much how I thought it would go today. I knew I was never going to catch 88 pound, but I was happy to catch half that, and I think I did that. So I'm happy. You know, I've lost some fish, but I've caught what I thought what I came here to catch. And you had to really lengthen your hook length up to about 5 foot, didn't you? Yeah, 5.5 foot. Yeah, to start with. Again, I thought they'll come straight on the feeder, and they did. And then I've carried on doing that, and they've just backed off. Whatever, they weren't interested. So then I've switched to casters and like a 5.5 foot leader. And on and off, they've come to that. If I shortened up milk lengths, I did try a few times. I've also tried meat, it just hasn't worked. Well, we're not quite there at the presentation yet, but I imagine your name's going to be called somewhere towards the top of the list. Is this an event now that will become an annual fixture for you? Have you got the bug fully? I love RiverFest. My summer's built around it. I love fishing the matches, even if I don't win. It's a good atmosphere, you know what I mean? You're up against the best blokes in the country, so what more can you want out of fishing? Now, Toby, day 1, there was a lot of talk around who might draw a certain area on the road bank. Yeah. And
that was me.
That was you?
That was me, yeah, very fortunate. Great peg, a lot of history with big fish, so yeah, very fortunate, and they fed. Good stuff. And so tell us what you weighed. £69 something. I don't know the ounces, but yeah, it was a great
weight.
Great first day.
And it left you second overall after
It did.
day one.
Yeah, yeah.
Today you've maybe had a slightly tougher draw.
Yeah, today I needed yesterday. Yeah, definitely. I've drawn in an area that was very hard yesterday. It's been hard again today. I've had neck ache from watching the lad on the barbel peg catch barbel. I've not caught a lot. I've had 69 days for £3.9.
Was that on the pole or?
Various. You couldn't keep bites coming. It was like change something. You'd get 1 or 2 fish, then you wouldn't get another bite. You'd make a change, just whether it was bait or pole or waggler or stick or something like that. It was just nick the odd fish here and there. It was extremely difficult.
Picking up £5,000 at third place, RiverFest 2022. It's Paul Passport! So after a fantastic day one, stood behind him watching catching some bream on the tip, chucking some 3/4 way across, had a crack at weight. Across the 2 days he's done £73 2 ounces, and your runner-up for RiverFest 2022 is Toby Bunting! And finally, we come to the winner. So after a fantastic performance on day one, hauling out barbel he was, changing his hook length every time, broke a rod as well I think, 80 odd pound day one and a cracking top up today as well. Weighing £103, 12 ounces, picking up £14,000 and the lovely trophy. First place champion of RiverFest 2022, Lee Edwards!
Lee, talk us through your 2 days of the match.
Well, day one I was on 52, the noted barbel peg. It was just basically fish for barbel and a flat float short for perch, you know, because they can sometimes show up and just go for it really. And it went to plan, you know.
Did you get the flat float out?
I did. It wasn't really good. A couple of little perch on it, but once you start hooking the barbel and all that, you know, you just got to concentrate on that. And I must say, you know, I fish a Y a lot, catch a lot of barbel on there, but these are animals compared to the Y barbel. I mean, I don't know if is it because a lot of the, you know, it's like fished a lot specimen anglers here, whether they're using higher protein bait or what, but they just savages. Oh, well, three yesterday just went, and I couldn't stop them. They just kept on going and going and going and going.
And you weren't using light kit either, were you?
No. It was 12-pound main line. I think it was old 25 fluorocarbon, which I physically cannot break in my hands. Every time I had a fish 6 inches above the hook length was all serrated and scruffed and all of that. So they didn't. It just, you know.
And what were you feeding? What were you fishing?
Primarily casters. Casters on the hook, casters for the feeder, and then lashing. I think I lashed in about 7 pints of hemp. So wherever I could feed with the catapult, with the hemp, I just fished about 15, 20 yards downstream of it. So it's just coming down in like a belt, like, you know. And that was just the plan. But
did you move the feed around much, or did you fish the same spot?
Yeah, I tried to, because that's the way I like to fish with barbel and keep it moving. But it was just, the hook was just getting stuck all the time, you know. Especially in the last sort of 3 hours, they back off. You know, there's activity on the bank. It was bright sunshine yesterday, wasn't it? You know, and I needed
a bit of a crowd as well.
Yeah, I needed to go past, or especially go down, and they were down because I get an odd liner, but the hook was always fast. So I just had to concentrate with my initial spot, really.
So what did you end up with? What did you weigh, Lee?
88 pounds 13, and I left a few there. You know, it was just one of those crazy days, you know. And sometimes you were casting out and you'd have one, and then straight back out within 30 seconds. Oof.
That's a phenomenal weight to fish.
Yeah, it is. I didn't think I had 88 pound, to be honest, you know, and I sort of lost track of it all.
So you're A section today?
Yeah, at A3, it was a bit all over the place, to be honest, and then I fished top 5, same sort of thing, flat float for perch, and I probably had a dozen or so, you know, various, nothing big, probably about 3 or 4 ounces of biggest fish. And then I had to fish the feeder then, like probably 2/3 of the way across, just putting casters in, a bit of ground weight and maggot, and just the first bite I had was a barbel, about 2 pound.
You can't stay away from them, can you?
Nah. And I think, oh, we'll have a few more of these now, and they never came. The day sort of moved in then, and you know, I'll be perfectly honest, my rig wasn't quite right. But, you know, all I wanted to do was to have 11 pound 3, so I broke a 10. And once I put 14 pound 15 on the scales today, and the job done, like.
It's a good weight in itself. Like.
Yeah, it was all right, wasn't it? I mean, you know, I've heard up in the bend, Paul Passmore's had like 45 pound of chublets today, which is great. Like, to go stronger on the second day, it was like, I didn't expect that.
And tell us a little bit about, from your point of view, RiverFest. Is it a competition that you always look out for, you always target?
It's the pinnacle of river fishing, isn't it? You know, I got to be fair. It's going from strength to strength. Everything's increasing. I think you can take it wherever you want to take it, really. You know, it's there, isn't it? The anglers are there. They're willing to. It's embraced. It's accepted. I must admit, I'm happy to have the trophy, like.